Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another broadcasting of Let's Talk About It, our journey to better mental health. I am your host, Helen Artis-Armstrong, and I'm glad to be back with you guys again today. Um, I want to jump right into our subject matter because I deem it to be something of great importance. And today we're going to talk about the opioid epidemic. The opioid epidemic. Again, my name is Helen Artis-Armstrong. Welcome. And we want to talk about how we can come to a place of better mental health. Talking about the opioid epidemic. So it's a crisis, y'all. Just in case you don't know, just in case you're one of those people that are not plugged in to what's going on in society. Well, it's been becoming a crisis for several years now. And so when we talk about opioids, we're talking about medication for the most part. Sometimes street drugs, recreational drugs. And we're going to get right into that and call out some of the names of it. But I want to tell you what we're stating when we say the opioid epidemic. Now, this is a phrase used to describe the overuse, the misuse, the abuse, and the overdose deaths attributed either in part or in whole to the class of drugs, which are opiates or opioids, and the significant medical, social, psychological, and economic consequences of the medical or non medical recreational use of these medications. It can be a drug that is used for medical issues. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about that. A lot of people I'm finding out have stated that they began to use opioids or opiates as a result of an injury. I am reminded of a person speaking with me. He was about 25 years old and he was just getting out of the hospital and he came to me. Well, he came to get into counseling and he stated that he started using opioids as a prescription drug from his doctor as a result of an injury he had to a finger. He broke his finger in several places and he had to have surgery. Coming out of surgery, they gave him something for pain, and it was some opioids. It was Percocet by name. He, unbeknown to the effects that it could have on the body, all he knew he was in pain and wanted to relieve the pain. Okay, began to take this medication, and so here he was coming in my office 3 years later, saying I'm a drug addict. I just got out of the hospital, going through detox, because from in that 3 year span of time, he found out that he needed more and more of this medication in order to stop the pain. He did not realize that he had developed and was developing a drug use problem. He had become addicted. Did not know. Did not know. Did not realize. Did not see this coming on. Okay. Way many years ago. Years ago. The doctors and the physicians, they began to issue more and more of this drug for pain management and did not really sufficiently give people the warning that they should have that this is addictive, that you are going to become reliant on taking this drug and that it's going to be a problem down the road. Perhaps they didn't realize it themselves. But the point is, they didn't do their homework. They didn't do their due diligence. And so back in 1999, we had about 8,000 some deaths in the United States because of opioids. Those are the recorded ones because there's so many more that were not recorded. But here in 2019, they recorded 49,000, right at 50,000 deaths. Again, these are the recorded ones from opioids. Okay, they can be they can be given to a person painkillers by the name of oxycodone. Oxycontin, Percocet, hydrocodone, Vicodin, fentanyl. These are some of the names of these medications that could come the legal way, by way of your doctor's office, for pain management. People coming out of surgery, people experiencing chronic pains, getting prescribed these drugs. There's also a street component to it. Mainly, the number one I guess we can associate it with is heroin. And I've had people come to me and say, you know what, I got hooked on it by way of pain management through the doctor's office, but now that I can't get it, because the doctors will cut you off eventually. Now that I can't get it, now I've taken it to the streets. I'm getting some heroin. And now I'm shooting up. And these are people that did not have any previous drug use. Again, the young man that came out of the hospital that was talking with me, 25 years old, he had never smoked any marijuana. He'd never drank any alcohol. He was what we would call a church boy. Mama was the pastor, is the pastor. Didn't know anything about that street life, but now he's a drug addict. And that bothers me. It saddens me to see people getting just, so I guess you could say pulled in to this epidemic, to this crisis. But it's time for us to sound the alarm. It's time for us to really, really sound the alarm that this is a problem and it's not getting any better. Okay? 80% of the global pharmaceutical opioid supply is coming to the United States of America. It's here on our soil. Other countries are not experiencing these record proportions of this epidemic like we are. So we need to really, really, really take note of what's going on with this thing. Again, this opioid, it gives that person that sedative type of effect, that relaxed feel, that it calms down the nervous system, the respiratory system, I guess you could say, rather, and it can send a person into respiratory failure and ultimately death, because it's going to slow things down just that much. I spoke to a person that uses heroin, and they told me about their response to it, saying when it initially hits the body, when they first started, they would begin to vomit. Okay, because of the overstimulation in the body behind the drug coming in. So, but then they become like almost comatose, like zombified. And I can remember when I had a slight surgery years ago that the doctors gave me some Percocet. And I took that Percocet at the hospital right after the surgery. And I went into the vomiting. And when I got home, I was so high. I was high as a kite. And I did not feel well behind it. I was not experiencing chronic pain, but that's what they gave me in the hospital. So I get up the next morning and routinely take another one. Now, by the time I got up the next morning, all of the effects I had on the one that previous day that had effects on me was worn off. Routinely, I took another one. And when I went on that next ride, I knew if I ever came down again, I'm not taking anymore. And back then, my body was still accustomed to smoking weed, drinking alcohol. But the fact of that pill on my body, I said no. I don't know what happened to them pills to this day. I probably threw them away because we were talking about 10, 15 years ago, not 20 years ago. It can have that effect on your system where it slows everything down. And for the person that is experiencing chronic pain, it's gonna feel like a blast of heaven. It's gonna feel like something that, is giving you all the comfort that you need to relieve that pain that you're going through. But ultimately, be warned and be informed that it can cause addiction. Once addiction comes into play, it's a whole nother level of life that you'll be living. Trying to get back to that high, trying to get back to that satiety in the body, that satisfaction that that drug will give you. Trying to alleviate that pain that seems it won't move unless I get that substance. It's real. It starts out in the body as helping, but it can be a very short, it's not always because you've been using it long term. It could be a short term use that will develop in substance abuse. Your body begins to grow a tolerance to the medication. Things begin to change and happen in the brain component. Okay. And then when you don't get the drug, that's when the withdrawal kicks in. That's when you'll have the jitters, the shakes. That's when you'll have the sweats. That's when you'll begin to have those, those responses in the body that says, I'm sick. I can't get out of bed. When you'll begin to have increased pain, where it feels like the pain from whatever your ailment was will increase and come back even the more. And the same response is when you're using it as a recreational drug. Talking about these different pills and heroin as well. You're shooting it up, you're taking, and when you can't get to it, all of these responses happen in the body. You do feel sick. You do feel like you cannot make it, cannot get up, cannot function. A lot of people get to the point where they won't be able to go and hold down a job. Even the more so, people get to the point where they begin to steal, to lie, even to their family members, to their own mama, to get that high, to get that drug. Where they'll begin to go into family members' homes and start popping all the pills they find because they think they're looking for something that's going to bring them to that place that they can feel that high again. And not even knowing that, you know what, that blood pressure pill you just popped is not going to do anything for you. Yeah. You need to know that these things are addictive. These things are addictive, and there's no good thing that's going to come out of it for you. Okay? If you are that person that finds yourself caught up with this Vicodin, these Percocet pills, get some help. Reach out to a therapist, to your doctor. Acknowledge to your own self that this has become a problem. If you're that person that the doctor is trying to prescribe these things to you, educate yourself on it first. I cannot stress that enough. Educate yourself on it first. Know what you're getting into. Know what you're taking. Know what you're putting into your body. I can remember my son. He was about 15. He had a small procedure done. Well, it was a surgical procedure. And as he was released from that hospital that day, they sent him home with some opiates. They sent him home with hydrocodone. And I asked my son, I said, well, rate your pain for me. How bad is your pain? He says, Mama, it's not that bad. I said, well, I told him, this was years ago, but he's 21 now. And I told him all about this medication that the doctors had given him. My limited knowledge of it back then, because I know a lot more now about it than I did back then, but I knew enough back then to be cautious about giving it to my child. And I said, I'm going to give you some Tylenol. And if you feel like this is not helping your pain, then let me know and we'll address it at that time and we'll do what needs to be done. Well, the long story short is he never took not one of those pills. They gave him one in the hospital right after the surgery, and that was the only one he had. Mainly because I knew about the roller coaster ride that same type of medication had given me years prior. It could be just that quick and easy and just that, harmless in the beginning, where you're just trying to get rid of this pain that you're going through. My suggestion, my recommendation is try something that is not a narcotic. Try something that is not as strong and as addictive as some of this medication that the doctors are pushing. Because even with the epidemic that we're going through, even with all they know right now, they are still pushing these drugs just as hard. And so it's not, don't look at the person that may be classified as a drug addict as being such a bad person. Oh, they strung out. Oh, I can't believe. Yeah, well, they over there at the clinic now. They're going through those classes and they've been strung out. You don't know their story. Newsflash: there's some doctors and nurses that are going through the same thing. There's some people that are in all kind of professional arenas. Some of these teachers in the classroom, that's your children, good people. They got hung up in a bad situation. Your pastor might be one of them. Ooh, that's deep right there. But it's true. Anybody could succumb to this medication that's been given to it. It is, and it's not as easy as get over it or just don't take no more. For some people, okay, we can walk away from it, but for a lot of them, it's going to become a process because now there's an alternation has happened in your brain system. Okay, things have changed up. Your mechanisms have changed up. The addiction process has begun. The tolerance where your body is adjusting to that medication and saying, I want some more. I need some more. I want some more. I need some more. Get some help. Reach out. Don't feel the shame behind it. Acknowledge that that's you, that you're going through that. There's some other medications that can contradict this thing, that can, help you, that is not going to be the same addictive quality as this medication here or the drug itself, heroin. I think two of them that I know off the top of my head is, well, I won't even name them because I'm going to hope, pray that you won't even have to go that route. But talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. Talk to your therapist. Reach out and go to some of the classes. I've been fortunate enough to lead lots of those substance abuse classes and hear the testimonials and talk with the people and give them strategies on how to overcome this thing. And it's a beautiful process because what it does is group you with other people to remind you that you're not alone. You are not alone. You're not the only one faced with these issues. But ultimately, there are so many deaths right now. And some of them are unreported. Some of them are not even classified as an opioid death. Okay. But that's what it is. That's what it is. It's early in the year right now. We're not even 6 months in yet. And I know more than half a dozen, probably about a dozen actually, cases of overdose, and half of those resulted in death already. People that I'm associated with or know personally. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Be informed. Be informed. There is help out there for you. You say, well, what am I going to do for the pain then? Some things you're going to have to just brace. Try some of the over-counter stuff. It's not going to do what these opiates do. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that and say, well, it might work. It's not going to be the same effect. But you can put forth strategies like exercising, like changing up your diet and the way you eat, like getting out and socializing, pushing yourself to do some of these things that will get you out of that rut or help you, and that's some of the things that the therapist or your doctor should be able to help you with, to figure those things out, those coping strategies. Well, I'm not pain free, but I've been able to come off the opiates. I'm coming off of these addictive drugs. It zaps your money when you're dealing with active addiction. It takes away your quality of life. It takes away from your social life, the time you're spending outside with family and friends. You spend a whole lot more time searching out money and ways to get the drugs. You have, your mind is all tied up in knots and bottled up with thoughts about the drugs and about getting high. You are become that person that's more irritable, that person that does not have a good focus, that person that may lose out on your whole career field because of addiction. It happens. And I talk to people that are going through these things on a daily basis. And it saddens me. As always, Jesus is my saving grace. I want to bring that up now because that's my total spiel on the opiates. I could go so much deeper. We could stay in the subject all day. But this is the overview. This is what we want to talk about today. If you don't get anything else from what I just said, go get some help. Put your pride aside. Go get some help. Acknowledge, hey, that's me. That's my child. I'm going to get them some help. That's my mama. That's my daddy. I'm going to talk to them about get some help. Reach out. Get some help. That's your parent. That's your family member. As you listen to this, you think about, oh, that's JoJo over there. And that's my cousin. He's going through that. Go research what you can do to be a help to him. Okay? Be supportive. Be supportive. I want to leave you with scripture because, as usual, like I just stated, Jesus is my saving grace. And I know that with the Lord on my side, that He'll give me those strategies and those ways to overcome anything that affects me in this life. And I am gracious and appreciative of Him for that. And He'll do the same for you. He'll do the same for you. You don't have to be the one that die in this epidemic. We talk about the COVID epidemic, but there's some other epidemics out there that are taking people out. Scripture reading is coming from Galatians 6:2. It says, bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Listen, you might be listening to me right now and saying, that's not me. I am not struggling with no addiction, no opioids and opiates. That's nobody in my house. But guess what? It's still your responsibility to help, to not only just promote this thing or of awareness, but to just inform your family. Okay? Educate yourself, because it may not be sitting on you today, but you don't know about what tomorrow brings. You don't know about that broken toe that you might get next week. Your kid breaking their arm. There's another case. This person sat in my office and said, I got hooked on this stuff at 12 years old. This person was like 23 because of an incident. And I needed pain management. And that's what my mother put me on, because that's what the doctors prescribed. 12 years old. Bear ye one another's burdens. If you know somebody that's going through this, give them an encouraging word. Don't beat them over the head with your words, turning your nose up and acting like they are some subhuman because they have fallen into this. Even if they came through by way of using heroin, the street drug, the recreational drug, same thing. Show them love and kindness. Find out how you can be a help to them rather than just you turning them away. Okay? Because everybody needs somebody. And you don't know. You got children in this world. You don't know what their pathway is going to be all the way through their life. You don't know. When somebody, you yourself going to need somebody to reach out and help you through a situation. Here's your golden opportunity, because this epidemic is plaguing the United States and yet affecting the world as a whole. Okay? Other countries are suffering through it, just not at the record proportion that we are. And here's the news flash: it's getting worse. It's getting worse. I don't want you to be the next one to bury your child. Your good child that you thought was out there doing all these wonderful things and find out that they've been popping pills and now they are in respiratory failure and now they're dead. Because it can happen just like that. Just like that. Young people in colleges having pill popping parties. Yeah, it's real, y'all. Get educated. Get educated and go help somebody. That's my spiel for today. As I stated, I could go on for hours with this topic because it's near and dear to my heart because I sit and talk to so many people with this devastating thing sitting in their lap. And my prayer is always, Lord, bring them out and bring them through. And that's my prayer for you. Lord, bring them out and bring them through. Well, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so by email or responding to this in the YouTube comment box. And we thank each one of you for your responses and your feedback. I appreciate it. And so we at KBO Ministries at yahoo.com. KBO Ministries at yahoo.com. And so until the next time, y'all be blessed. And tell a neighbor, tell a friend that it's time to sound the alarm, that we need to bear each other's burdens, help somebody along the way, because we're not in this world by ourselves and we all need somebody. Okay, bye-bye.